How good? How good? Rugby
got
world.
goosebumps again. I think I might have got tears in my eyes again. Someone's peeling an onion.
Oh, mate, that was just... I was busy when they got that last line out. I had us all set up to go 34-31 to us, or 35, whatever it was. And I was busy writing up 38-34 or whatever for England, because I thought, oh, shit, they're going to get it, you know? And then I was so I missed live the steal at the end, but wow. We saved a couple of points and we were bang on. How good was that?
No, it was amazing, wasn't it? It was just real heart-stopping stuff. And then for Joanna Ngannou to get up get the hand on that ball and steal that ball after England were just so dominant with those lineouts and the drives, and we were trying to work it out, weren't we? We were sort of trying to counteract it, and things weren't working. And then to be able to put her up at number 2, just looking at that again, I don't think she even got lifted. I think she just jumped on her own and stole that ball. And I think it came off an England hand anyway, according to the ref. So we had that scrum put in regardless of what would have happened. Because when Crystal Murray got the ball, we're yelling, stay in, because I thought if they took her out, that might be a line out to England. And that was just real amazing stuff, and well deserved. And what a huge boost for not only for women's rugby, just rugby in general in this country. I think those Black Ferns have really captured the hearts of all Kiwis, and not just New Zealanders, I guess, but I think just women's rugby players from all around the world. That was just an amazing effort. That whole World Cup, especially after that Northern Tour, what happened there, the ramifications from there with the coaches being replaced, and then the whole overhaul of the player base, and the new game plan, the introduction of the GOAT, the Professor Wayne Smith and his crew, and just to see see them grow over that tournament, just see how good they got every game. And we talked about this last week, didn't we? The fact that we were able to get up and beat France, that's meant that we're in the final. We've got one shot at it. We've got nothing to lose. We throw everything but the kitchen sink at it. And that's exactly what they did, man. There were some scary moments there, weren't there, where, especially Ruahi Demont in the end there, she tapped, went left, and then thought, oops, what do I do now? Go back right, where everybody's just like, what? So, but look, they just kept England guessing all the time. That was the thing. There was no, it wasn't a robotic display at all by New Zealand. They went wide, they carved it up the guts, they just mixed it up with great kicks, and they had England guessing the whole time. They thoroughly deserved that one. And I know that there was a little bit of a red card in there, and of course England can say, well, look, we only played most of the game with 14, etc. Well, that's rugby. We've been there, done that. We've been on the other end of that as well. There were moments there where we came back into the game, with a player in the bin as well. So there's lots of little things that we can say in hindsight, but look, at the end of the day, the Black Ferns just played outstanding. That whole crowd got behind them, and it was just an amazing occasion.
Oh, now that's just it in a nutshell. I mean, the thing was, yeah, sure they got a red card, but the red card, the as we all know, the consequence of that was they took out our well, they didn't do it purposely, but the player was red carded for literally taking out our the Black Ferns' most powerful weapon in Portia Woodman. So there is a bit of evening up there to go, and sure, all our tries were ended up being scored down that right wing, right wing. So, but England should have had Plan B in place for that. I'm sure they would have had. So, it was just. I think what was great about it was the crowd staying behind, having all that yayness. It's definitely up there as one of the best games ever. But the thing that I know I'm a Nigel no friend sometimes, but the thing that really gets to me sometimes when you're watching media is when they go, "That's the greatest game ever seen here." And me and my mate Wayne, we turned around, we went, and the 2011 World Cup, and the Springbok Test match, and in '81, what else? The Lions tours. Let's please put this in context. It was a great game. It was a game to remember, but it's on par with the men's game of great moments. Probably the greatest moments in women's sport. Yes, totally agree. And it'll be interesting to see how the Women's Football World Cup goes next year and how that momentum will carry on. Because just today, Hurricanes Pua announced their membership drive. Perfect timing. So, get out there, everyone, and watch the Hurricanes win Ulpiki. I know you'll be a Chiefs supporter there, Jeff, but otherwise, no, it's all good.
I think Ruby Tui hit it on the head at the end when she said, forget the genders. She says, where's the excitement? And, and that was, I think, I sort of agree. The media do love to overhype things, but that was certainly, one of the best games I have ever seen, and purely for the excitement levels and the closeness of the game, the fact that England went up early, the Black Ferns fought back. England would score again, the Black Ferns would come back, and it was just so. And because of the occasion and the crowd and the fact that the Black Ferns went in there as the third-ranked side in the world, they weren't favoured to win that. That should have been a France-England final by all accounts. And just knowing the history of the Black Ferns, for me personally, I've got a vested interest. Obviously, my niece has been part of that squad, as you know, for 10 years. She's played 28-odd tests. And there's a lot of those girls that I've met personally. I mean, this jersey that I have here, that was gifted to me by former Black Ferns captain and hooker, Fiafa Masuli. So she gifted this to me when she came into my clinic. And, so I've followed a lot of these girls. I know I'm name dropping here, but, Ruby Tui, she was the MC at my nephew's wedding she gave away my nephew and niece at their wedding, and I was the MC there. So, she's just such an amazing woman. And so, and of course with Wayne Smith as well, he was my coach when I played New Zealand Sevens 30 years ago. And so I've got that sort of vested interest and I've seen the growth of the women's game. 10 years ago, going to watch Chelsea playing club rugby, there were times there where I'd cringe. I'd be like, oh my God, but seeing how hard those women worked and the levels that they've achieved skill-wise, that the body shape changes with the professionalism, and how they've come back from adversity from that tour last year where they were actually hammered by France and England. And to see that the growth in that game, the growth in the woman, and there's just so many stories there. That's the thing that really gets me, is that it was such an emotional occasion because we know the backdrop, we know the stories, and what we know now is we start to feel as though we know the players well. I mean, I do personally, obviously, and I can name drop and say that, but the 13-year-old girl next door who woke up Sunday morning wanting to play rugby, the 10-year-old kid there that was at the game and all of a sudden has just fallen in love with the players and the game. It's just been such an amazing, momentous occasion. And I know you mentioned the All Blacks World Cup, in 2011. That was there's a different scenario. We were expected to win that, and the closeness of the occasion and whatever. But to me, that was probably the best game, excitement levels, for a number of reasons that I've seen.
Oh, yeah. Sorry?
Oh, sorry. So for me personally, that was the best game that I have seen. Because again, if you look at skill level, etc. Okay, yeah, sure, the All Blacks can pass longer, they can kick further, they can hit harder, they can run faster. That doesn't mean that it's a better game. As I said, I'll just go back and reiterate what Ruby Tui said. She goes, forget the genders. Were you excited? And everybody just, yes, absolutely. That was such an outstanding game. And to me, that was probably the one. When you look at the big picture and you look at what the Black Ferns have come through and where they've come from, I think absolutely that was probably the best game I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just looking at our big donut there, and as I said, I did attempt to go, let's play that last 10 seconds. And in the beautiful wisdom of Mr. Zuckerberg and Facebook, your video is blocked and can't be viewed by others. So,
oh no.
And it's World Rugby. So I'm submitting a dispute. So just because it was just saying that it goes 50 seconds of our video. So what I might do is so people can join us in. So what I might do is, sorry, I was just hearing the backlash here. We might go off here and come back on with a new link because people want to hear what we have to say and we won't show it. Is that okay? And if it does come on, that is why we're doing it again.
They banned the whole broadcast.
Well, I got a feeling they have. So I'll go off here and we'll come back on. Apologies to those that might be watching us. But yeah, no point talking to just you and I, young Jeff.
Yeah. So no, it's on there.
I will.
It's live.
Is it? It is live?
Yeah, it's live.
If you're watching live before, and so we don't have to go, oh yeah, there we go. Oh, unless that was you popping up then saying you're watching it live. We'll just carry on. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think it's live, mate.
Download the video and all that sort of stuff later anyway and cut that out and repost it. So the good news is that, how can I put it? It's just that whole groundswell. And sorry, I just totally went on a segue there for about a minute and a half because I was just getting all, what the hell's going on here in the world? You were name dropping. Kendra Cotsage, she follows our page here, and what a great way for her. And she's liked our posts and all that stuff before, so thank you, Kendra. But what a great way for her to end her career.
Oh, it's fairy tale stuff, isn't it? Just unbelievable magic. What a career. 68 tests, I think, if just offhand. Absolute legend. I mean, the value of her was such that a classy player like Ariana Baylor, the Waikato halfback, didn't get a single minute in that semi-final and final because they played Kendra right through. I don't think she got on at all in the semi or final, Ariana. And that's a testament, I think, to the value that Kendra brought to that Black Ferns team in those close games. Wayne Smith was thinking, I'm not bringing her off. And normally, those halfbacks, they work hard, they get to every ruck, they're delivering the ball. And for Kendra to play 80 minutes, back to back, that's huge. And she was such an influence, wasn't she? So congratulations, Kendra. What an outstanding career. And I guess the only shining light at that is that we do have some good halfbacks coming through. And that's because obviously the likes of Kendra have mentored them and brought them through. So we've got some real depth there now. And that was proven with the players coming off the bench in that final too, wasn't it? We had some real impact there all over the park. I mean, you mentioned losing Portia Woodman. Was she on fire or what? And boy, if she'd stayed on, who knows what might have happened. But to be able to bring Aisha on the left wing there, we didn't lose anything really. So we had some amazing subs as well. So it's the old saying, we always say that 15 players might win a game, but it takes 22 or the whole squad to win a tournament, and that's exactly what's happened with this Black Ferns team.
Oh, totally. And the good thing about that as well is the changing of the guard. They've got the young girls coming through to take over from the ones that will be moving on with their lives, you could say. So it's just buzzy. And I'll just throw this in here. They want us to promote the women's game. Come on, World Rugby. Because they're the ones that put up the copyright claim for our opening sequence, apparently. How are we meant to get it out there if you're going to block people sharing this stuff?
Yeah, we talked about it before. It's all about the dollars, eh?
Yeah, it's on. It was on YouTube. Anyone can watch it.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for it. Come on, World Rugby. Come with the party. I'm not here to make $1 million. Well, you never know. I might be here to make $1 million. But we're not making $1 million off you. We've already got the audience, 20,000 plus, that want to watch this. So, So, what we will do, though, is we'll turn back the clock a little bit and we'll just have a quick look at the other results from the weekend. So, we'll start off with the Rugby World Cup qualifying. And it's coming down to Portugal versus the USA this weekend in Dubai. Winner goes into play with the Welsh and the Australians at the World Cup. Portugal got up over Kenya by 85 points to 0, and the USA defeated Hong Kong by 49 points to 7. So, USA or Portugal, who's heading to the World Cup next year?
Well, I think we got both of those playoff games last week right in our picks. We picked both Portugal and the USA. I don't want to mention all these other picks that I got wrong last week, but this weekend. But
we'll get to those.
Yeah, I know, classics. But look, my heart's with the USA, and I think my head as well. I think the USA will be too strong because if you look at those results, Portugal's actually looked more impressive. If you just look at the results versus Kenya and Hong Kong. But I think when it comes to the crunch, I think the USA, I hope the USA will get up, to be fair. It'd be nice to see Portugal in their first World Cup, obviously, but I think with the resources the USA have and etc., then they should get up.
It won't be their first World Cup.
Oh, Portugal been in a World Cup.
Over in Europe, yeah. Yes, no, the All Blacks played them in France.
Oh, yeah, you might be right.
100 odd points to 0.
You might be right, mate.
Yeah, I know I am. Ha!
I wouldn't argue with you on stats today, Kevin.
Yeah, no. I think it was the '99 World Cup. They made it through, and it was like, oh, this is going to be good, and we totally annihilated them. So that would be good. I hope I got that right. I hope I'm not thinking of Spain. No, I'm sure it was Portugal. I'll have to go back now and double check that. But then we had the autumn games, and of course we had Ireland defeating Fiji. We picked that. 35-17 though.
Oh, yeah, again, it's always a hard one to judge that, isn't it? You would expect that Ireland would have put more points on them and been a little bit more, what's the word, ruthless. And but having said that, I mean, at Fiji, I mean, you just don't know, do you? Passes stick and tackles are broken, then all of a sudden they're 14 points up. And so they're always tough to play. But I think, Jenna, if you look at history as well, the All Blacks have always been quite ruthless when they play the minnows, so to speak, and they really put the foot on the throat and just score point after point. And Ireland, I think, probably let themselves down a bit with that result.
Oh, yeah, totally. And then we had Georgia playing Samoa. Now, I picked Georgia only because Samoa got sort of dealt to by the Italians the week before, but I thought, I'll go with Georgia. But Samoa got up and snuck the win by 20 points to 19. So were they just shell-shocked by the Italians? Or we'll get to that result in a moment. Were the Italians that good? And that was what we all missed over the
Yeah,
weekend.
I think. Well, now that we know what the score was with the Italy Australian game, maybe we're underrating Italy a little bit as well. So I think we both picked Georgia. If I'm correct, I think we thought that the
Yeah.
Georgia forward pack would probably be a bit too dominant, and Georgia would be a bit too structured for Samoa. We didn't get it wrong by too much, but congrats to Samoa. What a huge weekend for them with their rugby league team upsetting the English as well. So I'd love to be an
Yeah.
harpier at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can touch on the other side, the dark side of rugby. You know, for Samoa to come back from a 60-point thrashing by England to beat them in Golden Point, it is huge.
How do they do that? That to me, that's fascinating. That's the psychology of sport. There's got to be something going down there, So it's not that both teams. I mean, a couple of weeks. I mean, man, how many changes do you have to make there? So to me, there's a couple of things. It's Samoa's gelled as a team. They're living in each other's pockets. They're in the same accommodation. They're eating together. They're forming this culture. They're building. They're getting better and better. And the flip side is that England, probably thought their shit didn't stink, and they thought all they were thinking about was playing Aussie in the final, and they took them far too lightly. So to me, that's that mental side of the game, and building a good culture, building a good team environment, because the Samoans obviously have really, really clicked. And look out Aussie, because the Kiwis, that was a great game, and Aussie, I think, are definitely beatable.
They definitely are, and I thought we were going to win that. I really did. But anyway, that's the dark side. They got their 3 minutes of interest.
Move on.
Move on. Azuri, how good Italy finally getting the victory over the Wobblies. Kieran Crowley beating Dave Rennie, Taranaki playing Wellington, 28 points to 27. The Australians could have nicked it, and literally, if they had, it would not have been a deserved victory at all. So I'm glad
that was
they
a kickable. Yeah, that was kickable too, wasn't it, boy? These kickers, who'd be a kicker?
Exactly. And I mean, if it had gone over, I would have just said, yeah, nah. Italy, even though they would have lost on that kick, they were still winners on the day. But they've, put 40 points on Samoa. They've just beaten Australia for the first time. Everyone's going off. I was watching the breakdown. John Kerwin was just beside himself, of course, like he is. So I'm glad that's made him happy. But the thing is, Australia are now 0-2 on their Northern tour. And then, of course, we had the South Africans going down to the French by 30 points to 26. So the South Africans are 0-2. And the All Blacks making it difficult for themselves, going to all these places that are really hard to play, are 2-0. Okay, we've got Twickenham this weekend, but, it's it does make you wonder how, our good friend Chelsea put it quite succinctly, actually, if we go back to the women's rugby. We are not getting to play these teams a lot, in the Northern Hemisphere due to COVID. $5 in the jar. Haven't done that for a while. But the thing is, they have, I know they got the world, W15 coming up, and that's going to be an interesting to see how they do that format with the 3 divisions of women's rugby. So that'll be an interesting competition to see. But we do have the Pac 4 and all that. But we get these end of year autumn tours, and one of those teams might come to New Zealand in the July window, Ireland, France, whatever. But the South Africans, I would have thought, would have been a lot better. Now they're playing all their rugby in Europe, but they're not showing anything. Am I wrong there?
Oh, look, I think there's a bit of, either way, because the way we look at it is, I'm looking at the closeness of these results, I guess. I mean, South Africa went hammered by France or by Ireland. Again, so that they're contesting and they're in the game, which means that they could have gone either way. And what we have to understand is, Aussie, for example, Dave Rennie's caught between a rock and a hard place. Does he play as top 15 against Italy? So they're treating it, I guess, like the World Cup, where they're playing consecutive games every week. And you cannot play your top 15. We've said that straight up. Your top 15 probably at best could get through three test matches, three really tough test matches. So you'd probably play them quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals. But in pool play, you've got to trust your bench. You've got to trust your finishers, as they call them, not the reserves. And you've got a big squad. As I said before, 15 will win you a game, but it takes the full squad to win a tournament. So at some stage, you've got to make changes. I think Aussie made 11 changes, and it came back to bite them. So hindsight says, okay, well, you probably should have played your best team and maybe got a win against Italy, but then at what cost for next week? So there's a bit of all of this toing and froing, and this is what makes it very intriguing. I think that's the best word to use, is intriguing. Because again, the All Blacks, were so dominant against Wales, and then all of a sudden we're sitting there scratching our heads because we've only got an 8-point win over Scotland. So, it is a hard one, isn't it? Because we just want to see teams, or our team, the All Blacks, dominate every single time, and it just hasn't been happening these last couple of years. So of course we're asking questions. But the big thing that we're building towards, as all teams are, is the World Cup, and that's just changed the dynamic of the seasons as we go. Pre-World Cup, pre-1987, was every test match was a test match, wasn't it? You played your best 15 and you never really worried about blooding players or building towards the World Cup. Now that whole scenario has changed, and that's what we're building towards. So, next weekend will be interesting against England. I think if we can beat England, we could probably say we've had a very, very good year, and I can probably put my foot in my mouth and say that, okay, maybe we are on the right track.
Well, yeah, the changes they've made have been intriguing because, as you just said, we've got these other games there. The English, we said that they would thump the Japanese, and they pretty much they put up the score that looked like it would be a score by 52 points to 13 over the Japanese. The one that got me though was the turnaround for Argentina after the big victory against England to go down to the Welsh by 20 points to 13. Quite a dour match, I thought. It was 10-6 at halftime to Wales and then 10-7 in the second half to Wales. But yeah, Argentina, I thought, did not what's the word I'm looking for here? They did not build on that victory. Yeah, they did not build on that victory.
To what I mentioned before around, when we talked about the League World Cup and how Samoa changed and England and etc. That mindset. I always talk about this because if I think about Argentina beating England, that was massive for them. That was probably their big test match. And they're like, regardless of what happens, we've had a great tour. We've beaten England, and then Wales, on the other hand, waking up to a thrashing by the All Blacks. They're probably, thinking they got their asses kicked, so they knuckled down at training, and they really wanted to put it all on the line this weekend and ensure that they didn't lose to Argentina. So I think it comes down to that preparation, that mindset, etc. Because, as I say, you don't physically become a bad player in a week. It comes down to your preparation, your mindset, and what your goals are. Maybe Argentina went over there and just thought, well, we're going to throw all our eggs in the basket. We're going to have a crack at England. And then we need to maybe rest some players for the following week against Wales. And Wales have come out and said, man, we cannot lose to Argentina. This is embarrassing for us. We're going to throw everything on the line, put everything on the line here. So to me, again, it just comes down to that scenario of how you prepare for a World Cup, because you can't go doing this at a World Cup. And when it becomes knockout, that's it. You don't get to play the game again the following day. You've got to get it right.
Yeah, well, before we jump into the Balas and the ABs, the other game that was played yesterday morning was two World Cup teams in Romania and Uruguay in Bucharest, and Uruguay got up and won that by 21 points to 16. We both picked Romania from memory.
Did you write that down? I think I picked Uruguay.
Okay. I can go back and look at the replay. Okay, but I know I definitely picked Romania.
Yeah.
I thought they would have been too strong at home. But a nice tight test match there. So well done to the Los Terros. They're having a great moment in the spotlight with their sevens team and now their 15s. And then we had talking about 15s. Gee, I'm good at these little segues. We had the New Zealand 15 taking on the Barbarians of Scotty Razor Robinson. And typical Barbarians game, I thought. Awesome to see the Barbarians doing the haka before the game. Come on, why didn't the Maori boys get the, what do you call it? The English and the French and all that to join and teach them a bit of good culture. But the Barbarians hung on to that 35-31. But it's amazing how they go and we beat the All Blacks. I made a point of doing the match report that I got from abs.com, and I made a point of it being the New Zealand 15. There's only one All Black team. I'm sorry, but there is. Okay.
It's an overbranding. It's an overbranding of the brand, isn't it?
Yeah, stop branding everything. We know it's the Dirt Trackers, and in the years gone by, it was New Zealand touring England, and New Zealand playing the midweek game. It wasn't New Zealand playing the midweek game and then the All Blacks playing on Saturday. We know they're the All Blacks. They'll always be called the All Blacks. But we're also New Zealand, and officially, when you look at all the results, most of the places do say the result in the newspaper is New Zealand. So, we don't go, go the Phoenix. Oh, well, we do, I suppose. But I'm just trying to think of a team that, Australia. We say Australia. We don't always just call them the Wallabies. The Brave Blossoms, Japan. We don't always go Brave Blossoms 20 blah blah nil or whatever. South Africa, Springboks, yeah, but that's still South Africa. So can we please come back a bit? The rugby world. Call them the All Blacks. That's our nickname, right? And I know we all buy the jerseys and blah, blah, blah. But, at least the Black Ferns, going back again, at least the Black Ferns, they've got their own identity, which is great. They're not called the All Black Ferns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hope I haven't spoken too soon there.
Yeah, that was, if we go back to last week, if anybody wants to bring me up on it, I totally wrote off the Barbarians, didn't I? I think I said the All Blacks 15 or New Zealand 15 would cream them, probably run out by 30 to 40 points. Got that one horribly wrong. And the reason I say that was because I looked at that Barbarians team and I thought, boy, they're just a mismatch of players and, some has-beens and some, different cultures. And I'm thinking, how on earth can these guys just come together in a week? Because what I thought would happen, probably what did happen, Scott Robertson probably just got them out on the booze on the night. As soon as they arrived in camp, got out, had a good time, trying to build a bit of culture, a bit of team bonding, and then probably came up with a basic game plan and just kept it all nice and calm, throw the ball around, boys, have some fun. And they came up against New Zealand 15, who were very impressive, I thought, against the Ireland A team. Great combinations. They've been together for 2 to 3 weeks. They've had numerous training runs. Building some culture. I just thought it'd be a one-way traffic. How on earth could that happen? And so is it the Scott Robertson factor? That's what's going to come up, isn't it? The Scott Robertson fans, all the Crusaders fans, they're going to be singing from the rooftops at his praises. So he's obviously, gelled a team within a week to beat a New Zealand 15 that I thought had played extremely well the week before. Though there was a lot of changes, and again, they made quite a few changes from that Ireland A side. So whether that was a factor, I'm not sure. But no, congratulations to the Barbars. And again, I agree totally with you. It was a New Zealand 15. It wasn't an All Blacks 15. They're just over-branding the brand, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then, so the thing is, though, as well, Scott Robinson thing, but then you've also got Leon McDonald. Sure, he's a Blues, but he's still a Cantabrian. And maybe because we had two Canterbury players playing off against each other in the coach's box, that's why we might not be hearing much of a muchness, because, you know, Canterbury, even though he's with the Blues, Leon McDonald, Canterbury still would own him if he got the top gig by saying, yay, finally got a Cantabrian in the top job, wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yes and no. I mean, he played for Canterbury. He also coached Tasman. I guess that's within the Crusaders catchment area. Look, on this professional area, you go with where the jobs are. And, the Blues offered him a role and he took it. And, so, I mean, he's done outstandingly with the Blues. I think he's really moulded a great outfit. But not only that, it's just the way that he's worked his coaching staff around as well, because you remember Riley Tana was head coach, and I think they put Tana into a defensive coach and more on the sideline, etc. He's brought in Daniel Halangahu and Ben Afiaki. He's got a good team around him as well. So, yeah, it's a tough one, because I do rate Leon McDonald. He's obviously had success with Jasmine and again now with the Blues. So does it, it takes away from the players, though, doesn't it, when you've got these two coaches squaring off together? Because once you're up in the coach's box, there's nothing much you can do. You've done your prep, and it's all really up to the players as to what they do on the field.
Oh, totally. So, wow. I think we were probably 80% right, though, on our picks last week, which we could take that as a victory, because, be honest, who thought Australia would lose?
True.
Even though we don't like them. So, I mean, that was the big upset for the week. But I suppose the bigger upset since our last call, and we're talking about New Zealand A and all that, is that this week South Africa A play the Bristol Bears, and they're coming off a defeat to Munster, a club team. So at least if the New Zealand 15 are going down, they're going down to sort of international strength squads. If the second 15 for South Africa can't beat a club side in the Celtic League or the Gallagher Premiership, there's a bit of a worry there for the Springboks moving forward with their depth.
Oh, look, the South African fans are as passionate as the All Blacks, aren't they? So they'll be scratching their heads, and they'll be asking some serious questions as well. Look, again, to me, it just comes down to, I guess, experimenting, seeing what players offer, etc. As a former coach myself, I mean, I'm always just giving players a chance, giving them an opportunity, trying different game plans as well. It might be that they want to just kick this game and maybe see how their kick chase game is. Maybe they want to play expansive. Maybe they want to play up the guts, or maybe they just want a combination of all of that. Their defensive systems, etc. They might be trying out a new defensive pattern, and probably the best time to do it is against a team like Munster. And the coaches will probably go away and think, okay, well, that didn't work. This player here probably didn't step up, or he's had his chance. So you need games like that to be able to experiment a bit. There's only so much you can do on the training paddock as well when you're training against each other. So you've got to throw these things out there. And so, look, I don't read too much into that. A lot of people in the past have always talked about the All Blacks being so good in between World Cups, wasn't it? We always used to hear that. Oh, the All Blacks are number one in the world in between World Cups, and we can't win World Cups. Well, we've thrown that out the window now. But look, I'm not reading too much into it. I know the South African fans are probably asking some questions, getting all distraught. But my advice would be just chill. Just let's see what happens in 12 months' time.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that, yeah, so it is. I mean, France now, even though they've still got another game coming up against who have they got this weekend? Who have they got this weekend? Have they got another game this weekend? Hang on, let me have a quick look. Oh, they got Japan. Well, the games are really spread out, so we'll probably spend another 20 minutes talking about this weekend's game. But, I mean, they've pretty much beaten all the all the teams in the top 10 in the last 12 months. So even though they've snuck away victories against Australia and South Africa, I mean, they're the ones to beat next year. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. And they deserve it. They deserve the favouritism. They won't want it. I don't think Ireland will want favouritism either. You know, we know what that's like, and the pressure that goes with that. But you know, look, I mean, if you look at results over the last year or two, you know, France and Ireland are definitely 1 and 2, and but the beauty about it is that, you know, as I said before, these results they're not overwhelmingly in favour of either France or Ireland, and you know, as I say, a bounce of the ball, a bit of pressure, red card, who knows? The results could be different. So the All Blacks are definitely in with a shot. Don't write off the South Africans. Don't write off Australia. Don't write off England or Scotland, Wales, even Argentina. So it's you know, I'm really looking. I mean, we're 12 months out, and as I say, really looking forward to it. But yeah, let's put the pressure on France and Ireland and give them favouritism. They can have it.
Yeah. Well, off the top of my head, I think we've got about 6 test matches to go, including this weekend, before World Cup starts. So we've got a truncated type rugby championship again that will be coming up next year. And I mean, I was just thinking when you were talking about first and second and all that. I mean, what, 4 months ago, New Zealand had dropped to what, 6th place in the world? You know, the world was falling off. The wheels were coming off. Oh, the world was coming to an end. You know, the whole schmozzle. But we've moved back up to 3rd. We're only a couple of decimal points behind the French and the Irish. So, you know, a big win over England will pump us up a bit more in those ranking orders, in the numbers. I don't, you know. But, I mean, with France playing Japan, as I was just going to mention before, you know, they won't pick up any major points there. But the Irish, who they got then, Ireland, I mean, they're playing the Australians. So we'll quickly, might as well just jump into these games now anyway, because this will be recorded. We will be replaying this, because World Rugby did not like us sharing the women's rugby. Go women's rugby, World Rugby. Thank you for letting us promote it. Not. So I will cut that front bit off and repost this video afterwards. So unfortunately, we've got no comments today. That's my big point. But hey, we know moving forward.
Well, maybe it has been wiped off Facebook or your streaming. I have no idea, mate. I looked at it before and I thought, oh, I think it's still up and running, but who knows?
Oh, who knows? But we can do the magic. So on Friday, the Harlequins are playing the Barbarians. The good thing about this game is Joe Marler played for the Barbarians, and now he's going to play for the Harlequins against the Barbarians 5 days later. In that situation, I mean, he's a superstar, but I mean, how does that? Oh, I'm trying. I mean, it would be like, oh, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of something similar that's happened in recent years, where a guy might play for the Blues 1 week and then play for Australia against the All Blacks 5 days later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How does a player change his mindset on that?
Oh, it's pretty easy, mate. As soon as you walk into that camp, as soon as he walks into the Harlequins camp, he's a Harlequin, and nothing changes. In fact, if anything, he'll be probably more dangerous for the Harlequins because he'll be wanting to prove something to his teammates, and he won't want them to get anything over him. So, yeah, quite often, you know, when I've played against mates before, they're the ones that I want to hit the hardest and rub their faces in the ground a bit more because, you know, if we're having a beer afterwards, I want to be the one that can look at them and have a bit of a laugh at them. I don't want them laughing at me. So it's always been a bit more of a grudge when you play against your mates. You don't want to be dirty, obviously, but you certainly want to be able to get one over them.
Well, in the famous words of, or the famous thing of Matthew Ridge, it was just a slight facial.
Yeah, exactly.
For the younger viewers, look it up. So, as I said, with Saturday morning, we've got the also Rans Hong Kong playing Kent. So, Harlequins, Barbarians. So, you're going to go for the Harlequins?
Oh, mate, not after that Barbarians game. I can't. I've got to go Barbars now. I mean, unless Scott Robinson's got them all at the pub bloody every night of the week. Oh, God knows. Who knows? He's maybe teaching them a bit of break dancing and so getting some bonding, team bonding and some gelling there. So, no, I'll go Barbarians.
Okay, I'll go Harlequins so we can keep we'll go the other way. So then we've got Hong Kong playing Kenya for who takes the bronze medal. I've been very disappointed in Kenya. They've conceded almost 170 odd points in 2 matches. I would definitely go I'd go all day, every day Kenya, but for this game, I'll definitely go Hong Kong, and Hong Kong to win by at least 30.
Yeah, I'll go Hong Kong. Hong Kong 15.
Yeah. And then we've got Leinster playing Chile. Who would have thought that was a fixture in the world?
Yeah, true. True. Is that I don't know, a little bit of disrespect for Chile? I mean, you'd think they'd want full internationals, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, they did go down last weekend to Tonga by 39 points to 10 in that in their little tour. But yeah, I do believe there is a bit of disrespect there because they are a World Cup squad. They're a World Cup team at next year's World Cup. Sure, the window's full and everyone's playing everyone already, but could they have not gone and played Germany or the Netherlands or, one of these rugby Europe countries instead of a club side? I'm actually going to go towards Chile winning this game because they will want to make a point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, crikey, if they're at the Rugby World Cup, they've got there on their own merits, so they should be playing against international competition. That is a bit of disrespect. So anyway, Chile for me. Move on.
Okay, USA, Portugal.
USA, mate.
Yeah. Do have a Portugal jersey, do have a USA jersey, but I do prefer the Eagles. Eagles hosting the World Cup in the next couple of editions, and it won't be a World Cup without USA there. They're going through turmoil there with Major League Rugby at the moment, but it's good to see that most of the LA and Austin teams have been players have all been drafted into the new Chicago team, which is great.
I want to give a big shout out to my nephew-in-law, James Temple, for he's flying out tomorrow to take up his contract with New York Rugby in the Major League Rugby competition as head coach. And
so is that who we're supporting?
They're absolutely 100%. Ben Afiaki's over there too as assistant coach. That's huge.
Oh,
so that'll be awesome.
Oh, okay, because I was trying to remember which team James was going to, so I'm going, okay, who are we supporting this year? I still like the Toronto Arrows, only because I know the owner there, Bill Webb, great guy. And I've got a bit of an affiliation there with New Orleans Gold, but I never really sunk my teeth into a team. So, hey, they're the current champions, aren't they? So New York. So all the best to James and that doing that gig. And so I guess we have to watch the. And I did notice they're sponsored by Main Freight. Isn't that a Kiwi company?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, interesting. Maybe they're an international Kiwi international company.
Yeah. So well done, Main Freight. We'll give you a shout out on our show, even though I'm not allowed to show your show. So we're both going to America and go New York. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. I know one person that will have me on about that, and that will be Stacey Montgomery, who will hopefully watch this recording, and she'll be going, no, San Diego Legion all day, every day. But hey, all I can say is Matamu is another year older and another pace or two slower, even though he's still a great player. So then we move on to Saturday night, 11:45 p.m. New Zealand time. Tonga are hosting Uruguay in Europe, and I have to quickly see where in Bucharest. So I'm glad to see the Tongans playing the Uruguayans in Romania. Okay. I would have said Tonga all day, every day. But after Uruguay got up last week, what was it? Getting up over Romania in Bucharest. I might have to stick with the Uruguayans here to get up over the Tongans, even though Tonga did have some good victories themselves on this tour. I think Uruguay will be too strong for the Tongans. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think if you use your head, yeah, absolutely, possibly. But I'm going to go with my Pacific cousins. I think Tonga will get up. Too strong physically.
Well, I don't know if Romania is Latino flair. It's near Italy. Across the water and over a few mountain ranges. But I just think that's Uruguay will do all right there. But then, it's just a smorgasbord of rugby. So we'll just, because there are so many, we'll just run through them. Wales versus Georgia at 2 a.m. New Zealand time.
Wales, easy.
Wales. I'm going to go for an upset and say Georgia by 6. There we go.
Mate, well, Peter can be out of a job if that happens. He'll be coming back
home. Italy versus South Africa.
Well, we'll see how good Italy are and how poor South Africa are. But having said that, South Africa's played Ireland and France in successive weeks, and we just said that they're 1 and 2 in the world, and they've lost by a combination of 6 points. They lost 19-16 to Ireland, and they lose by 3 points to France at the weekend.
Yeah, 30-26.
Yeah, so South Africa. I think they'll be too strong. They should be too strong, but we'll see how good Italy are. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'll probably lean towards South Africa because I think the Italians will still be partying hard, drinking the old Chianti on the victory over Australia for the first time ever. So can they go back-to-back with first-time evers? I don't think they've ever beaten South Africa. Unsure about that one. So you go to South Africa. I'll go Italy by 3. There we go. Just so if I win, I can rub it in and go, ha! Picked Italy. And of course, I've got a nice new Italian Macron jersey that was handed to me by the supplier. So I'll shout out for Italy. Canada playing Namibia. Now this game, I have to look it up because I don't know where it's been. Oh, of course, it's been played in Amsterdam, in Holland. So you really got to check where these games are being played. Normally the home team is the home team. So now we're traveling to Holland to watch Canada-Namibia. I thought Namibia would have done a bit better last week, but they went down to Spain. Canada, as I like to call them. They're not at the World Cup, are they? How do they get these test matches? Why could this not have been Leinster versus Canada and
versus Namibia?
Namibia doesn't make sense. So I'm actually going to go for the Namibians to get up over the Canadians. Your choice?
Yeah, I've been disappointed with Canada in the last couple of years. To be honest, they haven't really pushed on at all in 15s and 7s. They just don't seem to be firing at all. I don't know what's going on with Canadian rugby. Having said that, though, I would say that Canada should get up. Why it's in Amsterdam, I have no idea. They're just trying to keep all the teams in Europe and just cut costs or something. It's just seems crazy, doesn't it?
Well, it does, because the next match, though, is being played in France, but it's the French Barbarians playing Fiji. Whoever's in the French Barbarians, got no idea. It's normally players from the League 2, D2 in France. But Barbarians rugby versus Fijian rugby, it's going to be a point fest, I think. And I'm going to lean towards Fiji here.
Yeah, if it becomes a throw the ball around and extravaganza and showpiece, then there's not many teams in the world that can compete with the Fijians. So it depends sort of what sort of game plan I guess the French Barbarians come out. But if it's in France and France rugby or French rugby's on a real high, I think they'll be tough to beat. Very, very tough. So if I had to put money on it, I'll probably go the French Barbarians.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I'll go Fiji. So, okay, we got that one split. Romania, Samoa.
Samoa.
All right, I'll have to go Romania. Scotland, Argentina.
Yeah, oh mate, I think Scotland played their big game, didn't they? And they had an opportunity there to beat the All Blacks. They played very, very well. Man, that Stuart Hogg's a good player, dangerous as anything. Their captain, I think the 7, I can't remember his name. Boy, he's world class as well. They've got some very good players all around the pitch. Having said that, I think the Scottish probably had their run last week, and I think Argentina have proven, obviously with the win over Ireland, but then the backlash after losing to Wales, I think they'll bounce back. So I'm gonna put my money on the line and back Argentina.
Yeah, well, they beat England.
Yep.
It's not easy to forget England sometimes, isn't it? Okay, well, I'll go with the Scots only because we've got genealogical links there. So I'll go Scotland to get up by 7 because, they'll feel a little robbed that they didn't do the business over New Zealand. We've got Ireland playing Australia at 9 a.m. So that's quite a good time to get up on a Sunday morning to watch a bit of rugby. All day, every day, go Ireland. I can't pick Australia.
Yeah, I want to pick Ireland. If they're number 1 in the world, number 2 in the world, then they've got to prove it, and they have to prove it this weekend. And yeah, I don't know, it'll be close. I wouldn't be surprised if Aussie can, bounce back. And I genuinely hope they do, to be honest, just for World Rugby and for Dave Rennie. And, we always bag our Aussie cousins, don't we? But no, I certainly hope for the best and that Ireland, that Aussie can get up. I just don't think they will. I think Ireland will be too strong.
And we'll leave the best one for last. So we'll just quickly jump through to Monday. We've got France playing Japan. So that's going to be a 50-point win to France.
Should.
And then the Barbarians back up again on Monday morning and play Bath. So that's quite a big, that's a short turnaround from playing on Friday against the Harlequins and then on Monday against Bath.
Yeah, it is.
Suckers for punishment, aren't they?
Yeah, it sure is.
And then, okay, so to end this wonderful show today, sort of thing, almost, because I will have to go and cut out that 50 seconds at the start and repost this. Again, thank you, World Rugby. England versus the All Blacks, New Zealand, Twickenham, and we've got one person watching us, which is interesting. Maybe they've turned off our thing. Oh, no, they've gone away again. So, yeah, England, New Zealand at Twickenham. It's going to be raining, always does in London. 6:30 a.m. kickoff, a lot better than 3 o'clock. So at least we can all sleep in and get up and have breakfast and watch the game. It comes down to who we got starting at halfback. So I'm guessing it'll be Aaron Smith. Mark Talia, will he get another run? Or was that his opportunity to show the guys who's what? Or is he the new Sevu Reece? Geordie Barrett and all that, we're okay. Richie Moanga has been a bit quiet in the camp. So does he come back at number 10? Yeah, it'll be an interesting squad to see.
It'll be an interesting squad. I think he's got a show his hand and play his top 15. I think the forward pack has picked itself. I think you're going to have Lomax and De Groot as your props. You're going to have Takiaho as your hooker. You're going to have Whitelock and Retallick. 6 could be a bit of a toss-up between Barrett and Frizzell. I think Shannon Frizzell has done enough. I think it'd be good to have Barrett coming off the bench. Dalton Papali'i's been a revelation at 7. We've always talked about him being probably the best 7 in the country. Artie Sevilla's World Player of the Year. Aaron Smith will be halfback. And this is where it gets interesting, isn't it? You know, Mo'unga or Barrett. And whoever plays there determines what the rest of the backline is going to be, because Bodie Barrett's too good to leave out. So if you do play Mo'unga at 10, then you're putting Barrett back at 15, and you're playing Geordie Barrett at 12. If you're playing Bowden at 10, then you're going to put Geordie, I'd say, back to fullback, and maybe have an Anton Leonard-Brown and a Rico Ioane combination. So it is. There's a lot of permutations there in there. I'd love to see Mark Talia get another run. You keep in mind that Will Jordan's injured, and I think if he was available, he'd be in there, which may affect that mix again. But Talia did enough to. I mean, it's either him or Sevu Reece. I don't think we lose anything there, and I think that I'd love to see Mark Talia get another shot there at 14. Caleb Clark's got that left wing sewn up. Rico's got 13 sewn up. It's just around that 10, 12, 15 sort of as to what happens. I think they'll go with the tried and true. They'll go with Mo'unga at 10. They'll go Geordie Barrett. They'll go Rico Ioane and Bodie at fullback.
Yeah. And I completely, thanks for reminding me that Retallick is back after his suspension. So so he'll definitely be there in the forward pack. You can't leave out one of the best locks. And wouldn't that make Sam Whitelock and him the world record leaders for locking in a test match? I think they're equal with the South Africans on 63 tests, I think, at the moment. So this will be their 64th, 65th. So so if that comes out, there'll be another record to tick off their little bucket lists. So I'm going to go anyway, New Zealand to win by 12.
Awesome. Yeah, look, I mean, it's good. Again, it's a toss-up, could go either way. I mean, England haven't been, they're not setting the world on fire at all, are they? So the fact that they're at home means, they're always going to be tough at Twickenham. So look, I'm with you, but if the All Blacks can fire and they're playing their top 15 and they get the roll on, then they should win. Look, again, I had to put the house on it. New Zealand by 10.
Yeah. So, if you weren't aware, people, we can be right, we can be wrong. But we're also brought to you by HSN Sports Network. Aren't we, Jeff? And yes. HSN, yes, there we go, as he dips away. So we are working on a nice new thing. So stay tuned. We will be bringing more information once we get it all up and running. And it'll be available for everybody as well. Not just rugby, but soccer, sport, tiddlywinks, whatever. We are working on that at the moment. Great things take time to put together, but we're definitely have laid our foundations, and we're now building the interior design, I suppose you could say, in a building vernacular. So really, that can be us for the day. What are we at? 1 hour and 3 minutes. So by the time I take out the 50 seconds that World Rugby will not let us broadcast and repost, you can still watch the show, and we'll repost it. And for those that have been able to watch us, thank you for watching. And we'll catch us all again next week. Any last thoughts, Jeff?
No, it's all good. It's a good weekend of footy coming up. So, it'll be interesting to review next Tuesday. So we'll see you guys all then.
Sure. Okay. So we'll see you all in the broadcast now. Bye.